Hello and welcome to the channel. And in this video we are going to continue our talks on methods. This time we're actually going to use all the methods that we've been talking about in our previous videos, and we're going to create a little example program and kind of outline how they're used and why they're so powerful when we use them in our programming. Right, and in previous, we'll recap real quick. We've created a method that has no return type, a void method that takes no parameters inside of it. It has no values to pass into the method in order for it to use. This is just a simple method that will, complete a single task and then print out. It'll, follow the instructions that are inside of it, and then it will just continue on. Okay, we have now another one, same thing. It's a void, no return, no parameters. We have 3 of those, and then we move up here. We have a return or a no return method, but it does actually take parameters into it. And that means that it takes values from the program that used it. It sends in values. We then accept or have a way of storing those values so that we can use them inside of our method, and then it will just simply complete the tasks at hand without actually giving any data back. It doesn't return anything. All right, now in this one here, this is actually a method that has a return value, and it also does take in parameters. Okay, and as we see, it does take in a single parameter that then is evaluated by our method. It goes through a little bit of a logic, and then it actually does return a value based on the evaluation of our data. Okay, and that means it just simply sends out some data back to our program for use later. And then we come up here and we have now some other methods that are now returning a value but actually take no parameters into them, and these are simply just getting some user data. Okay, we're going to look at a couple things here later on. We'll look at optimizing these a little bit more, but for now it's a method that returns data and has no actual parameters inside of it. Okay, we have a couple of those already printed up and ready to go, and we do have some logic up here. We'll just delete this stuff. We don't necessarily need it right now. It was from a previous video, and we'll start from here with all of our variables declared, and we'll create, actually I need to go back one. We deleted this. We need that guy. He's actually a variable. We just need to delete this stuff. All right, so make sure you keep this guy. If not, just rewrite that string letter grade. Make sure that's in there. So these are the variables we've set up in previous videos as we went through our methods, and now we'll create some logic and create a program here. So the first thing we want to do is we actually want to print out our disclaimer message or our welcome message. We come down here. We do know we have a welcome message that we would like to print out. So we can come up back to our program and we'll use that method. We'll say print underscore welcome underscore message, and we use it by simply using the name followed by the brackets, and then we enter statement. Now it has no return value, so that is basically all it's going to do. We'll run the program real quick. We'll just see that we do in fact have a welcome message printed out. Boom, we have our welcome to this basic utility to learn how to use methods. It'll show the different methods available and to use in our application. Perfect. Now we do have another method down here that we'd like to see, and it is our copyright message. So let's print that out right after the welcome message, and we can just do that fairly quickly. Print copyright message. All right, fairly simple. We got 2 lines of code, and when we run this, you'll see we have actually some pretty decent output at this point. And there we go. Now we have this program was used. We got a couple lines here, maybe too much, not really a big deal. All right, we can look back at that. So now the next thing we want to do is we're going to bring up a menu for the user to kind of pick between, and we'll just write that really quickly. All right, and we'll just go, we need it to be in a string. What are you doing? There we go. menu. Okay, and we can actually form this later into another method. But now our menu is a one dot enter data, enter student data. What this is going to be is a program that will allow a teacher to input some data on a student and then print out a report card. Okay, so we'll just have two, bunch of student data, and then we'll say print report card. Essentially, you know, a student's going to be in a big database, stuff like that, but it's just a very basic program for us to learn, and that's, you know, we'll work into it later and more. And we have a third one. We'll just say this here now is to exit the program, exit or quit. All right, so fairly simple. We have these values. Now we'll just go with system out print, and in this one we'll just say enter a selection. I guess we can just do that. All right, enter selection, and now we need to get the value, and this is not supposed to say it's supposed to say out. Sometimes the IDE does that for you. We did import the scanner from a previous video, and we'll just kind of declare that really quickly here again, just so that we can use it in our program. Input is equal to new scanner, and then we can put the system.in inside of our parameters. All right, so now we can get the choice. Now we can actually set up a new variable really quickly. Byte, we'll say menu selection. It's kind of what it is. Make it equal to 0 for now. We can take menu selection. We'd like to store the user's input inside of that menu selection item, or variable, sorry. So we have that. It's all good. And you can kind of see that this is now one full solid task. And let's actually just quickly go down here and we'll create a quick method, public static. This is going to return a byte type at this point, and we will say get menu selection. Okay, you can say print menu if you'd like. You can, whatever works for you, as long as you know what the actual method is doing for you. Okay, and we'll just go get method. It's going to take no parameters. It's going to simply print out this menu, and then it's going to wait for the user to give us a value. And in this part here, we can actually take this back up. We'll put it here. We'll take this guy down here. We'll control X that. We'll bring it down with us so that we can resolve that problem there. And we'll just return the next input. All right, so kind of the same thing as we did down here. It's a parameter that has a return value but has absolutely no parameters. Okay, so same thing as we did in our last one. We're gonna do this one real quick as well. All right, so now we know that it does return one, so we'll take this. Okay, and if you've been following along, then great. And that's kind of what we're, you know, we can go a little quicker here because hopefully you've been kind of watching as you were learning along the way. Okay, so now that's all selected. We have a menu item now that we are running, and we'll just run this now really quickly just to show you the logic that's being created at this point. Okay, so there we go. We have our welcome menu, welcome to the program. We have this little print. This program was created by blah blah blah. Now we can make a selection here. Now again, if we type any value, we don't have any logic, so it's just going to die either way. See, so now we can continue forward. Now we have a menu selection. Now we'd like to, you know, get the user to do something. So here's where our, you know, switch now would come in place. You can use an if statement if that works more for you. If you like the if, the switch will work very well in this case. Okay, so we'll use the switch, and we will just come down here. We'll now say if it's case 1, which in our menu was to enter student data, so we can then type the logic to enter our student data in here. All right, we'll just put the break in now. We'll bring it down by one line. I'm just going to finish off the case really quickly. You don't really have to go this way. You can, if it works better for you to work through the logic, go right ahead and do so. But for now, this is, I'm just going to finish this off so that we have it all available and ready for us, okay? And then default doesn't need a break. It knows that it is going to break out if it does get to the default. If you'd just like to be more uniform in your coding, you can definitely put it in. It won't hurt anything, but it is the last version, so it is the last case in essence, so it will kick it out. So now we'll take this menu selection because it should be a 1, 2, or 3 by the logic of our program. And we will now take it and put it inside of our switch. So now if it's a 1, we'll come here, and that logic will be to enter student data. Now we have a bunch of methods that are already available to us to enter the student grade, the student course, or the course name, or course code, course name, teacher name, student name. We've created those in previous, so if if you're having a hard time, you can kind of go back and look that over. And here now we can start to gather our data, right? Because that's technically what we're going to want to do. So let's go from here, and we'll start with the course name. All right, we'll get the course name, and we'll say get underscore course underscore name. Just a simple value, and we know that this method is a method that has no parameters, but does have in fact a return type. And if you're unaware of that, or you're not sure why, we can then simply look, because we created it that way, right? This now has no parameters. It does in fact give back a string value, okay? So again, if you're unaware and you're not sure, then go through and look it up. We'll then get our course code at this point. We'll say get course underscore code. All right, so we get our course code now, and then we can get the we'll get the teacher's name. It's kind of all based upon the the very beginning of your creating it. You can get it in any order that you wish. We're just kind of trying to keep it a little bit, it's supposed to be teacher, kind of keeping our logic a little bit intact. When you talk to the teacher, he's going to get the course name, the code, right in his name, and then we can start asking for the student stuff. All right, so we get the student name, okay, and then we will get the student grade, all right. So we got all of our data. The only thing that we're kind of missing here, we got the student name, we got the teacher name, we got the course name, we got the course code, we got the student grade. Now we're just missing our letter grade, right? But now that's not really a big deal, because we actually created down here a convert letter grade method, which then takes the input that the teacher has given us of the student's grade in a number form, and then we convert it into a letter form. So we can actually just take the data we used, and then we can call this method. So at this point now we can actually gather up that as well. So we can take the letter grade. I mean, the teacher could technically just tell us, but we've done this already in our logic, so that's how we're going to grab this. Okay, so now we got the letter grade. So now let's take the letter grade, and we will say convert underscore grade underscore letter. Okay, and now in this form it's going to give us an error because it truly does take in a parameter. So now this guy here, if we come down, it returns a value, but it also takes in a value with the student grade. Okay, so now we can actually just take this this value that was given to us, and we can just plop it in there, and now we're going to get a letter grade for ourselves, right? So now we actually break out of here. For now, there's no logic to continuously run this, so what we're going to do is we'll just leave it for now. We get all of the data we input. That's the only thing that this was actually meant to do. Enter student data. Okay, now that's pretty well done at this point, right? And we can run this and just kind of see our program's going to kind of just die at this point because we haven't really finished it. We're just kind of going through it. As you can see, we print off our main menu, our little disclaimer or thing. We can say number 1 to enter some student data. Course name is Introduction to Java. Course code JVA 101. Teacher's name is Jim Johnson. Okay, student's name is Bill Berg. Student's grade is now a 57. And you see we end it there because that is kind of where our logic has brought us now, okay? So let's work on now the second case. Let's get the second case where we would like to take all the data that we have kind of gathered up, and we'll simply print out our report card because, you know, when they select number 2, it's going to print a report card. And for now, we can actually print out this logic up here, okay? We'll print out this stuff. This, you know, we're not gonna get that yet, but you'll see as we build this. So now we do have a logic to print the report card. It does take values in as parameters, so we will look up here now and we can build this. Okay, so now it does not return a value, so all we have to simply do is say print report card, and then it's going to error because there is values that are needed to be put inside of our report card, okay? And now, again, when we have values that are input in, there needs to be that same amount of parameters inside of the call or the invoke, like the method invocation, or when you use a method, you have to use the exact same amount of parameters that are declared in the creation of it. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 parameters here. We need to use them up here. And again, the actual order does matter, or else we'll print out a report card that's all wonky because of the way we created it. Okay, so the course code is first, then the course name, then the teacher name, then the student name. All right. Now we go here and we now have to send in our course name first, or our course code first. There it is. Then we set our course name was the second parameter that we would like to pass. The third one is our teacher name. Then our fourth one is the student's name. Our fifth one was the student grade. And our sixth one is the letter grade, okay? And now if that's kind of unaware to you, if you want, just look back down. We can click here to, you know, highlight this. You can come down here to find it. It's highlighted for us. It goes course code, course name, teacher name, student name, student grade, letter grade. All right. And we can come back up just to verify that that's how it went. Code, course name, teacher name, student grade, letter grade. So at this point now we do have a printing out the report card. So you can notice up here that we actually are, it's kind of saying that we, you know, didn't use these values at this point. And because we are actually, we didn't truly have a logic to use them yet. What we could do at this point is, well, I'll show you in a minute. We're going to finish this. Now, the third one is simply to exit the program, okay? And we have a couple methods here. Well, we have one at least to print exit message now. Okay, so if we come back up here, we can now use that one inside of here. So we can say print underscore exit message. All right, it's simply done. And maybe at the end of our exit message, we would also like to just reprint the copyright message that we had before. Copyright message, oh, not mag. Okay, so now we kind of print out the exit message. We print out our copyright message again. Program's going to end. Okay, So if we want, we can run this up now. We can kind of test our, it's going to die right now because we don't have any actual way to loop it yet. It's not going to continuously run. So at this point, if we print out the report card, we can see here's our print of our report card. We don't have a letter grade yet because it's not technically been implemented in our data up here. If we were to, put it here for now, if we did A+ or something, like 85 is not an A+, but if we did put it hard-coded into there, then it would show up for us. But as you can see, it just killed the program either way, okay? So at this point, we can now run it one more time. Just wait for it to finish. Here we go. We'll run it one more time, and we'll just exit the program this time. Okay, and we'll say now 3 to exit. We see that, thank you for using the program, blah, 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 copyright by this people, okay? Perfect. Now the program's done. So one method that we could do in this form is if you took out this break, okay? And we talked about that in the switch. Now, when we're done writing our, when we're done writing this form here, I'm just going to come down here really quick to the printing of the report card. I just want to put in a couple new line values here, just so that it kind of formats a little bit nicer instead of squeezing everything all together. So just kind of we'll put in 3. Actually, that's 4 because we have a print line here. We'll take that out. We'll take out the print line, and just so we know the control that we're having over it. Copyright message has 2. Exit message has a couple. Might not actually need this one here. We can have one at the bottom. We'll just take that out and we'll just leave them at the bottom. We'll just kind of clean it up a bit. All right. Same with this. We'll just take this one out. Leave that one at the. Actually, we'll leave that one in because it is an exit message, right? We'll leave the top. We won't take the bottom because there's nothing after it. It's going to be the last new line. So cleaned up a little tiny bit. Nothing too major. So now if we run this now, okay, and we'll go from step 1, and we took the break out only so that we can kind of print this off, okay? It's going to, right after you enter the student data, it's going to instantly print out the report card. Okay, so we could say course name, Intro to Java. The course is JVA 101. Teacher's name is Jim Berg. Student's name is Billy Butkus. His grade is 87. So you can see we print out the report card directly after, and the program dies because we don't have any looping in our logic at this point. So very simply, we can actually, we'll just stick this back in. We'll put the break back in. For now, you see it goes like that, but now what we're going to actually do is we'll loop this, okay? Now, we don't need this to be looped. This is just a, run one time at the very beginning of our program. So what we'll do is we'll come down here and we'll create a do loop. Okay, and the do loop is, again, we talked about before. It'll actually do this code at least one time, and then it will, it'll evaluate the value put inside of our condition here and our condition, our looping condition. So here we know that 3 should exit the program, so we can say the menu selection, if it's not equal to 3, then let's continue to do this. All right, so we can actually take all this little code here all up into this section here. This is our ending to our switch. We'll just drag it up and stick it inside of our do, and because we're inside, we'll just tab it into one time so it kind of shows that it's inside of there, and there we go. Now you basically just created a full-fledged program and used up all the logic and all the different methods. So we can run this now. And now it's kind of a little bit broken at this point still. I'll show you why, but so we get our welcome, printed one time. This is printed off once. Let's get some student data. So enter the course name, Intro to Java. We say JVA 101. Teacher's name, Jim Berg. John Johnson. Okay, grade is 98. Okay, so now we're back to our menu. Now this is kind of weird because if the teacher was to just click 1 and start to input more data, it's going to overwrite our record that we currently have in our inside of our variables at this point. Again, it's very basic program, don't worry about that. If we do push 2 now, you can see that we actually print out the data that we've input. So this stuff here, we input all this stuff into our program and we printed out our report card, which is all these values. And you notice we didn't actually print out the letter grade, or we didn't give them a letter grade, but we still now print that into our what would you say, into our report card. Okay, and then it comes back to our menu for you to now continue your logic. So we could push 1 again. We can go intro to web design. There we go, intro to web design. Course code could be WebD 101. Teacher's name is James. Oh, here we'll go with Marie. Oh, Marie. Simpson. Yeah, there we go. And this one's for Jerry James. There we go. And his grade is now a 55. Oh, it's a 5. Bummer. Oh well. And you can see he's actually failing with a 5. Okay, so that's kind of the logic. It continues to run. It allows for us. It's counterintuitive because, again, if we just continuously write data, it's going to overwrite each record. So we'll have to know to print it each time. But again, it's just a quick way to make our program. We hit 3 and it prints out our little ending. As you can see, pretty simplistic. You see that our program logic is rather small. It's not over convoluted with a bunch of programming code. All of our code's all taken care of way down here. It's all available. It's a lot of code that's available in our program. But when we build the logic of our program, it's relatively simple. It's right here. It's clean. It looks clean. It looks organized. So that's the real use of your methods. And I'll take this out next video and I'll give you the example of 2. I'll put all the code inside of it, and then we'll look back at one and the other, and you can see the way difference in trying to read it, the readability. All right. So this video is a little long. I do hope that it kind of shows you the reasoning why we would like to use this. We will optimize this a little bit more and further, just to kind of show you a couple little tricks. But at this point, that's all we need to know. We used it up. It's a sample program. It's very quickly used. Every type of them that's been used, we use them up in the way that we need to. So that's it for this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, or ideas for future, put it in the comment section below. We'll try to address those for you. If you can subscribe to the channel and check out the rest, that'd be wonderful. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.